O God, you are my God. I seek you. My soul thirsts for you. My soul flesh faints for you, as in a dry and weary land where there is no water. Psalm 63. The psalmists knew dry land when they saw it. They lived in a land with no water. They knew it from hard experience. Not only was the land dry and wearisome, but their social, religious, and economic lives reflected the land. They lived in a harsh culture of oppression and exploitation from various conquerors and their own elite. They longed moment by moment for God's liberation from hopelessness, for their souls and their flesh. For God alone my soul waits in silence. From him comes my salvation. He alone is my rock and my salvation, my fortress. I shall never be shaken. These are our ancestors in the faith, and many who have lived since then have found the same experience. And how about you? Many of us are fortunate to live near rivers, streams, and creeks with enough rainfall to keep things alive and green. Perhaps ironically for some of us, rain comes as a limitation on our activities rather than as a blessing. Many of us, too, live amidst affluence and opportunity. So our experience distances us from the Psalms these poets have left us, pouring out their troubles in verse for the millennia. Are we really so different? Today we find ourselves in Sabino Canyon in Tucson, Arizona, at the northern edge of Coronado National Forest, an area supervised by the U.S. Forest Service. The land, as you can see, is as dry and rocky as one finds almost anywhere. Riding through the canyon on the Park Service tram, I was astonished to discover streams of water fed by summer rains and snowmelt. The Psalms suddenly had new meaning for me, especially as I also discovered that this seemingly desolate land is also the home to flowering plants, reptiles, birds, and wildlife. People come to me frequently in confession and admit things like, I do not pray as much as I should. So then I ask, how much should you pray? They never really know. Their sense is that they have some obligation to pray and perhaps some personal desire, but nothing that compels them positively. So then I ask, what is your motivation for prayer? They often do not know. They might say, to say thanks to God, to which I say, yes, indeed, joyful gratitude to God is a wonderful motivator for prayer. It's especially good to thank God for things that have happened and the good people who have come into our lives in ways we could not have imagined and over which we had no control. But these people often miss the very great reality that all the psalmists understood. The best motivator for prayer, along with gratitude, is desperation. That is what we hear in the Psalms because that was the psalmist's motivation. It sounds somehow vaguely inappropriate to say that we should pray out of desperation. But as you think of the challenges of your lives and the challenges of our world that impose themselves on us, is there a better reason to pray than desperation? The psalmist did pray that way, and the Lord God responded. So then they wrote psalms of a very different sort. You have given me the wild ox's strength. You have poured over me fresh oil. Psalm 92. My soul is satisfied as with a rich feast, and my mouth praises you with joyful lips when I think of you on my bed and meditate on you in the watches of the night. For you have been my help, and in the shadow of your wings I sing for joy. My soul clings to you, your right hand upholds me. Psalm 63. We cannot know from these lines exactly what the Lord God did for them. It seems unlikely that they found some resolution to all their problems. But we know from Jesus' healing stories that people found relief from what was limiting them and the opportunity for more hopeful life. Ideally, they discovered the reality of the loving God who had created them in love, to give love and to receive love. They discovered that God invited them into the covenant with other believers so that they would know that they were never alone. What was true for them is true for us. We have only to learn to pray earnestly and daily, in gratitude and in desperation, and then to watch our experience for God's response.